The origin of the shadow. Why they control you. Chapter 1. The haunted question. In this video, we are going to strip away the mask of parental care to answer the questions that keep you awake at night. Is their toxicity a calculated plot for power, or is it a tragic byproduct of a broken past? Do they know they are hurting you, or are they truly blind to the wreckage they leave behind? And the most controversial question of all, does their own trauma serve as a valid excuse for your suffering? For years, you've lived in a state of cognitive dissonance. On one hand, you see the gifts, the financial support, and the declarations of love. On the other, you feel the invisible walls closing in, the suffocating guilt, and the paralyzing fear of their disapproval. You've been told you're ungrateful, but your body tells a different story. To find your way out of the golden cage, we must first understand how it was built and why. Chapter 2. Generational poverty of the soul. To understand a controlling parent, you have to understand the environment that raised them. Most toxic parents are victims of generational poverty of the soul. They grew up in eras or households where emotional intelligence was non-existent. For them, love was never a free-flowing exchange. It was a currency. It was something earned through obedience and lost through autonomy. They didn't learn how to regulate their own emotions, so they used their children as external regulators. When they feel anxious about the world, they control you to feel safe. When they feel like failures in their own lives, they demand perfection from yours to feel successful. They aren't necessarily evil in the cinematic sense. They are often terrified children in adult bodies, wielding parental authority like a weapon, because it's the only tool they were ever given to prevent their own abandonment. Chapter 3. The enmeshed ego, the limb versus the person. The most shocking reality of the golden cage is that your parent likely doesn't see you as a separate human being. In psychology, this is called enmeshment. To a highly controlling parent, you are not a son or a daughter with a private inner world. You are a functional limb. Think about your own arm. You don't ask your arm for permission to move. You expect it to obey. If your arm suddenly decided to go in a different direction, you would feel panic. You would try to fix it or restrain it. This is exactly what happens when you try to set a boundary. To them, your independence feels like a physical amputation. They don't see your autonomy as a sign of health. They see it as a malfunction of a part of themselves. This is why they react with such disproportionate rage or medical crises when you pull away. They are trying to reattach the limb they think they are losing. Chapter 4. The addiction to control. We need to talk about the hit of control. Neurologically, exercising power over another person releases dopamine. For a parent who feels powerless in every other area of their life, whether it's a failing marriage, a stagnant career, or the fear of aging, the adult child becomes their primary source of significance. They need to be needed. This is why the golden cage is often built with gold. By paying for your car, your house, or your groceries, they ensure that you remain a client in the business of their lives. They aren't giving you a gift. They are buying an insurance policy against their own irrelevance. Every time you call them for help, they get a hit of importance. It is a biological addiction to being the savior, and as long as you are the victim or the child, their addiction is fed. Chapter 5. Explanation versus excuse. This brings us to the ultimate debate. Is their ignorance an excuse? If a person burns down a house because they were playing with matches and didn't understand the danger, the house is still gone. The family is still homeless. In the world of trauma, we often confuse explanation with excuse. Understanding that your mother was neglected by her own mother explains why she is suffocating you, but it does not excuse the fact that she is stifling your life. Ignorance is a reason, but it is not a hall pass. If a drunk driver kills someone, we don't say, well, they didn't mean to, so it's okay. We recognize the tragedy and the responsibility. Parental toxicity is no different. The unhealed trauma of the parent is a tragedy, but using that trauma to ubezwolnich, incapacitate, another human being is a choice, even if that choice is made unconsciously. True adulthood for you begins when you stop waiting for them to realize what they are doing. They might never realize it. Their ignorance is their cage, but it doesn't have to be yours. Chapter 6. Conclusion and the path ahead. The origin of the shadow is often a loop of pain that stretches back generations. Your parents are likely doing to you what was done to them, perhaps with nicer furniture and a bigger bank account. But the result is the same, the death of the self. Understanding that their toxicity is a byproduct of fear and trauma doesn't mean you have to accept it. In fact, understanding it gives you the power to see the cage for what it is, a fragile construction of someone else's nightmares. In the next part of this series, we will discuss the psychological murder of the eternal child, the brutal, necessary process of killing the version of yourself that still lives for their approval. If this analysis helped you see your situation more clearly, please subscribe and share your story in the comments. Your experiences help others realize they aren't crazy or ungrateful. They are just trying to be free. Stay tuned for part 2.